What up, Razzballers? Welcome back to another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Sky Guasco. Tonight, we are talking about our quarterback sleepers. These are our top 4 quarterbacks going after the top 12 quarterbacks. I'm joined by my man, Jefferson, right here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What up, everybody? Good evening. Welcome back to the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. I am your host, Sky Guasco, talking quarterback sleepers tonight with my man, Jefferson. That's Jefferson__21. You can find me on X as well, Sky Guasco. Everything Razzball at Razzball NFL, Razzball NFL. Make sure, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel right here. Leave a comment, hit the bell, and let us know your top sleepers at the quarterback position. We're thinking single quarterback league because in Superflex, everybody's gone no matter what. So single quarterback league. And of course, you can find us on the download as well with the podcast. That's going to be the Razzball Fantasy Football Show anywhere you listen to your audio streams. And of course, all of our articles and our amazing writers and exclusive tools to Razzball to get you ready for your drafts and the season available at football.razzball.com. Jeff, good evening, my man. This is a fun one. We've done running backs and wide receivers. Tight ends are kind of like, we should talk about them, but meh. Quarterbacks are really interesting because, again, in Superflex, everybody's gone anyway. So, like, you have sleepers, but most teams are getting 4 quarterbacks in a draft. If you're in a single quarterback league, you probably have 2, but that third guy, right, a rookie coming up, I don't know, a Bo Nix, for example, may take a month to get going, but by week 8, 9, 10, 11, could start really taking off on your season. So what is something you look forward to in a quarterback-specific sleeper situation?
Yeah, I look for value. More importantly, because this is one year I was talking with my best friend just about quarterbacks in general, and this might be one of the deepest list of quarterbacks when you look at from the first pick all the way to the first ranked to even the 20th. Like there's 20 legitimate quarterbacks that you could start in a single quarterback league, and I would be okay with it. Like they'll be competitive in comparison when you can draft them for value. Because if you wait on a quarterback, you can get maybe some other talent to, deepen your bench at other positions.
I love that. And again, you can still kind of play it later if you want to. But these are the guys where if you miss out on the big guns, the top 4, 5, 6 guys, you want to skip that middle tier. These are dudes that might end up back in that top 10 at least, but maybe shit, man, they could blow up and be top 5. So let's get it started. You can kick it off here with your first quarterback sleeper. Who is it?
It's my boy, Trevor Lawrence. I
T-Law.
thought last year would be the year. And he
did.
looked good early on, and then he kind of fell off a little bit. So everyone is kind of down on him. But if you look back at the numbers in 23, he ended up as quarterback 13, which is not terrible, not great where you drafted him maybe last year at the QB 6, 7, 8 area. But if QB 13 is potentially his floor, and then in 22 he was quarterback 8, so kind of a Jekyll and Hyde, so to speak, over his last 2 seasons. But right now he is quarterback 16 in drafts, and he's finished better than that the past 2 seasons. So I'm kind of confused why he's so low. His ADP right now is like in the 10th or the 11th round at 124. To me, that screams value. So this is a guy you could potentially wait on, and he could be your starter. What I do like what Jacksonville did is they got rid of some older receivers who were still talented, and Calvin Ridley, who's still really good, and Zay Jones. Kirk is healthy, but they brought in Brian Thomas, who led college football with 17 touchdowns last season, which is nice. Brought in Gabe Davis. I think people forget he's only 25. He's still fairly young. He has career average of 16.7 yards per reception, and he averages 7 TDs a season. And he's got really good hands. Last year, I think Trevor finished a little bit lower because they were a little bit unlucky. A lot of his receivers dropped passes. As a Jags fan, watched a lot of those games. Couldn't get 2 feet in the back of the end zone. Just a lot of sloppy play with receivers. So, looking back to it last year, he was 7th in air yards amongst quarterbacks. Air yards being how many yards the ball is thrown in the air before the catch is made by the receiver. And he was 7th of all quarterbacks. So they like to air it out. And with Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis, I think they're going to continue to do that. So I like him. He did finish QB1 in week 11 last season, and he was top 12 6 times in a down year. So I think he just screams value, and you can wait and get a lot of other players between your first pick all the way to your ninth pick, and then get him. He could be top 10 next season.
Nice. Nice. I like that. And look, we've he's kind of been riding on that like what should be from college, right? Incredible in high school, incredible at Clemson, fine with the Jags, but not quite Trevor Lawrence. So we want to see that jump. But you're right. My boy Calvin Ridley let him down a few times with some drops or just balls out of the end zone. And that could be crucial. So I like the Trevor Lawrence pick there, man, and hope things go well for your Jags. I know we've had a lot of hype for him, and he's kind of still a young buck coming up. But let's go to the OSG in the NFL right now at the quarterback position, all the way back to my man Aaron Rodgers. Let's not forget about the former Cal Bear back in 2005, bro. When I graduated high school, Aaron Rodgers was graduating Cal Berkeley, getting it done, and I feel like I've lived 9 lives since then. He's been in the pros the entire time. Pretty insane. Last year, obviously, game lost. Three steps into the season, he's toast, clearly. 2022 plays the whole season. Felt like a down year. Felt like a meh last year with Green Bay, all this kind of stuff. 3,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He was still quarterback 14. I know we're not drafting for quarterback 14, but it was arguably in Aaron Rodgers standards the worst year of his career when he plays an entire season, literally, statistically. So obviously without Devontae Adams and all that kind of stuff. So he can only go up from there. And now he's got Garrett Wilson. Obviously, he gets my boy Big Mike Williams coming over from the Chargers. I love that. Brees Hall is going to keep defenses honest. Obviously, they have a number of other weapons there. They drafted well. They have a great offensive line, a solid defense as well. And look, Miami and Buffalo are lethal, and they could beat anybody in the NFL and run it up. However, the Jets were competitive with everybody last year without a quarterback. And I think they still have my boy Salah as the head coach, and we get Nathaniel Hackett, who Aaron Rodgers played with numerous years in Green Bay. So multiple years, over 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns. So I expect something about that, maybe 3,800 yards and maybe 30 touchdowns. But either way, that's going to get him into the top 10. And I think it could be much more than that. So I don't need to run the stats over Aaron Rodgers' career and the potential. You know about that. Easy Hall of Famer, obviously. But just don't forget about him because he didn't play last year. And he's going to be way down your draft boards because nobody's excited about him anymore. New team. We still haven't see him play in New Jersey. So don't forget about the OG Aaron Rodgers. Any shots on Aaron Rodgers? We want to get into your next guy.
Love A-Rod, discount double check. I always throw the belt. Huge fan. I think last year there was the hype because of Hard Knocks. And then forgotten about now. I think
he's
18,
Pat
20 right
McAfee's
now.
Yeah, he's Pat McAfee's BFF, and he's out doing his his vaccine conversations and his darkness retreats, and he's out there just like being a bro, and it's really refreshing when you have professional athletes just being real people. So love him or hate him, he's captivating, and then comes out and unfortunately goes down the way they did it. It was unfortunate. But speaking of Cal Berkeley, why don't you let us know about your second guy?
Mr. Jared Goff. I know I mentioned him previously. This might be I hate to say this, a sleeper because I think all my friends may be watching, but I want Jared Goff. I'm gonna tell you the reasons why. This, it sounds crazy, but under Ben Johnson, his OC, who's going to be returning for his third year with them, Goff has been quarterback. Was 10 and 22 and QB7 last year. I don't think many people realize he was quarterback 7 last year. In Detroit, under Ben Johnson, their offense has been top 5 with yards, total offensive yards, and points scored. Now, breaking it down to passing offense, they ranked 11th in pass attempts, 8th in yards, and 8th in passing touchdowns. That was in 22. And then last year, 9th in attempts, 2nd in total yards passing, and 4th in touchdowns. Why do you not want a quarterback that's in an offensive system like this? This sounds like Pat Mahomes' offense or Josh Allen, who guys are taking very early. But this is Jared Goff in this system. Last year, he ranked ahead of Allen and Mahomes. He was 3rd in air yards in 23, which I don't think many of us realize that unless you watch a lot of Lions games. And then just his skill players he gets to throw to. All these guys are in the top 60. Amon-Ra, Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery, and then everyone's new favorite now, Jameson Williams, who's skyrocketing up boards, looking really good at camp. He's going back to the same system, same teammates, coaching staff, good O-line. I don't understand why people aren't, drafting him. I know he doesn't run, so I think that's what's hurting potentially Trevor, Jared, and Aaron Rodgers, that they don't get the rushing guard, so they're not sexy. But he finished QB1 time last year in week 15, and he was top 12 7 times last season. He's currently quarterback 15 with the ADP 114, so ninth, 10th round. So in single quarterback leagues, like I don't know why people are not drafting him higher. And if they're not going to, I'm going to take that all day.
Like it, man. Jared Goff, again, shouts out to the Bay Area. Went to my rival high school, grew up in my city many years after I did, but also went to Cal Berkeley. Kind of got written off with the Rams a little bit, goes to the Super Bowl. Obviously they don't score a touchdown. But then the Lions are legit, right? Obviously. And they had the Niners on the ropes last year. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the same match heading into the Super Bowl this year. And either one of those teams can win that game. Absolutely. And Dan Campbell's obviously got something real special. So Jared Goff, I don't think is going to light it up, but we keep saying it, 10 indoor games basically before the bye week, like based on Detroit, that division, and then just playing indoors. Like he doesn't even play outside until like December, which is insane. So I love that. And again, a sleeper is kind of like unfair for that guy because he absolutely ripped off last year, but he doesn't have the rushing upside that you want in fantasy football. And sometimes quarterbacks who aren't as good as a quarterback have the upside in fantasy football because they run the ball. So don't forget about Aaron Rodgers, and don't forget about Trevor Lawrence as well, and don't forget about Jared Goff, because they don't run the ball the way that we want these guys to in fantasy football, but they still bring it through the air. So if we get a little bit of rushing, it's cake on top. My final guy here does run the ball a little bit. He does have the Josh Allen, somewhat of a comparison, loosely at least for now. Will Levis. I know this is a guy that you've been excited about. You're a big Jags guy, but in division here with Tennessee, Will Levis got an opportunity last year. First NFL game, 4 tutties versus the Falcons. We all go nuts, obviously. Unfortunately for my man, he throws 4 more total touchdowns the rest of the season. So it was a bit tough, but look, rookie quarterback, it happens. Had DeAndre Hopkins, Nuke goes down. Last episode you and I did, man, we got breaking news like on air, basically out 6 to 8 weeks. Unfortunately, Nuke's gone for 2 months. So he'll be back maybe week 6 or so, but they do bring in Calvin Ridley. They also get Tyler Boyd. Shouts out to Bob, who's been, rocking Tyler Boyd before it was cool. So I like that a lot, right? They have, again, a plethora of Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard and some other running backs that are going to kind of be a committee situation. Not an awesome offense necessarily, but I think a lot of great pieces to help a young quarterback. Last year, 1,800 yards. He did have a rushing touchdown, 4 picks. That ratio's got to get much better, 8-4, obviously. But if he can get you 25 touchdowns, maybe 30 total, right? And he's up around 3,500 yards total, he's going to blow out his ADP. And I think you're going to be just fine. So if you miss out on a guy, Anthony Richardson or something like that you wanted, and you just don't get him, Lamar Jackson, obviously he's not to that caliber, but if you like that style of quarterback, this is the discount version of those guys. And look, I know we kind of shit on Daniel Jones because it's fun, A, because it's Daniel Jones, B, because it's Bob and he's a Giants fan. But the reality is Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, period. He's awesome for fantasy when he's healthy. And Will Levis is Daniel Jones, at least, with better weapons, in my opinion, with less competition in that division. So Daniel Jones was QB6, 2 years ago before he got hurt. So I think Will Levis could be absolutely top 10 if he runs the ball a little bit, and we could see that happening. Any thoughts on your boy Will Levis before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just really like, just the offense. They're getting rid of the run system there. They're going to be airing it out. They're going to be going against the Jags, Tennessee, and the Colts. 3 offenses that we all think are really good. They're going to be scoring points. So they're going to have to play catch up a lot of games too. I know I mentioned this too previously. I feel like this is like a Blake Bortles situation waiting for Will Levis. They're going to have to score just cheap touchdowns in the 4th, and he's going to do that. And everyone's going to be like, dang, could have waited. And so with him and some of these guys we're talking about, if you want to take the rookies, the Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, they're like, 9, 10, 11. You pair them with one of these guys, if they kind of struggle, you've got a top 10 quarterback waiting on the wings for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Once again, to recap, Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff for Jeff. I went with Aaron Rodgers and Will Levis as well. You also kind of had a sneak attack maybe with Bryce Young. We were talking in text before the show, kind of a sneak attack. My guy's Bo Nix as well. We're not going to talk about him necessarily, but just some youngsters. Bryce Young obviously had kind of a season last year, but throw that away. Bo Nix coming in as a rookie. He's number 3 on the depth chart today. I think he's the starter by week 4. Sean Payton really likes him in Denver. And of course, I'm a Duck homer, but nonetheless, I think those 2 guys are also very, very, very deep that probably are waiver wire grabs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're in Styles waiver ad article coming up week 3, 4 ahead of the curve. So keep an eye on those guys. If you have a deep bench, maybe look at those guys as well. Before we get out of here, I do want to give a shout out really quick to NFL football. Carolina Panthers, New England Patriots tonight. Lions and New York Football Giants tonight. Tomorrow we got another host of games. We got the Falcons and the Dolphins. We got the Texans and the Steelers. We got the Eagles and the Ravens. Then we have the Washington football team Commanders and the Jets. We got the Bears and the Bills, the Raiders and the Vikings, Packers and Browns, Bucks and Bungles, Niners and Will Levis's Tennessee Titans. Then we have KC and your Jags. We got the Seahawks and the Chargers, the Saints and the Cardinals. And then on Sunday, we got the Broncos and the Colts. And then finally, the Dallas Football Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. Football is underway, folks. It's cheater football. It's going to be lame, but we watch it anyway because we're all psychos and we're stoked. So congratulations, everybody. We've made it to preseason football. Enjoy your baseball while you can. Football is right around the corner. We're excited about it. Everything Razzball can be found on X, Razzball NFL. That's Razzball NFL. Subscribe to the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube channel right here. Hit that bell. Leave a comment on your favorite sleepers in general, certainly at the quarterback position. And then you can follow us every single Sunday, 2 hours before kickoff when we get the Sunday live start sit show. And all of our articles available at football.razzball.com, as well as exclusive content and tools available to you from us at Razzball. And then anybody on the go, you can listen and download to the podcast as well. It's the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast. For Jeff, I'm Sky. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great weekend and enjoy your football, folks. We are out of here.